So welcome to all. Good morning. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All of you are by default on mute mode, so we do not want unwanted disturbances coming in. In case you have any queries, you can just type it on the chat window. Yeah. That's cool. So the next 1 hour we'll be communicating to each other through these reactions. We'll be starting this session probably in 10-15 minutes. First of all, let me thank you for such an awesome response to this session. We had a target of 400 to 500 participants, but we are 1000 plus right now. So what we've done is we have streamed this live to our Facebook page of Rotary Club of Jamshedpur. The link will come to the WhatsApp groups immediately. So those who are unable to join through Zoom, I would request you to convey that to your friends to pass on that link so that they can watch it live on Facebook. Yeah. So I have a bad news and a good news for you. The bad news is that due to heavy traffic and tremendous response from you guys, we are unable to have some of the fun activities and the competitions that we had planned for this session. Amazing actually, because you guys actually put us out of our seats because of your response. We already have 1000 participants in Zoom right now, and we are already streaming live in our Facebook page, Rotary Club of Jamshedpur. But managing 1000 participants at a time, it actually put us out of our seats. So that's the bad news. And the good news is that we have planned something much more bigger for you guys, and it will be announced very soon. So just wait for it. But we'll not take away the focus from the session. We already have Dr. Lucky Kasat with us, who will go on to take the session. Before taking the session, let me pass on the baton to Honorary Secretary of Rotary Club of Jamshedpur, Rotarian Satnam Kapula, who will now take on the session from here. Satnam,
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Rotary Club of Jamshedpur, I welcome you all to this session. I welcome you all to this session of talk to be given by Dr. Kama. I also welcome all the teachers, moderators, Rotarians, and all the guests present today here in this Zoom meeting. It's wonderful to see you all here. And I now invite our President, Rotarian Sangeeta Jha, to kindly formally welcome you all. President Sangeeta, ma'am.
Thank you, Satnam. Good morning to everyone. Yeah. Good morning to one and everybody. We are here to hear from our Chief Speaker, Lucky S. Kamath, about a motivational talk. For this, we have all joined in with a virtual meeting. I'm welcoming all the dignitaries who are present here in this a talk full of motivation. This session is organized by Rotary Club of Jamshedpur. Thanks to our PDG, Ronald De Costa, who along with the Loyola alumni joined hands to make our children geared up during the lockdown and to have an opportunity to take this lockdown as a motivation and to find that there is something to be done more successfully. We should not let us down. So I, on behalf of Rotary Club of Jamshedpur, welcome our DG, DGN, PDGs, all the Rotarians, Rotarians, if they are on the screen. I also welcome past presidents teachers, moderators, interactors, rotaractors, Father Pius, and alumni of Loyola Association. So we must not waste time. I welcome you all and let us all join and hear our chief speaker. Welcome to one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. Next, as a next Loyolian, it's my pride to call upon Father Pius, the principal of Loyola School, and who has been my principal during my entire school period, to say a few words in order to kickstart the session.
I hope I am audible.
Yes, Father, you've
Exactly. Yes, thank you. Exactly 67 years ago, on 29th May 1953, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay conquered the summit of Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. They lost their lives in attempting this formidable challenge. After their return, in a press conference, a journalist asked them, "Why did you attempt this challenge, knowing well that you may not even return alive?" Edmund Hillary smilingly answered, "Because it is there." Children, remember, climbing Mount Everest isn't something which only a privileged few can do. Each one of us can have our own Everest to conquer. This goal can be anything: getting into a college of your dream, getting that coveted job, winning the school elections, being able to successfully overcome a disability, to live happily, etc., etc. Any of these and more can be your own personal Everests. What drives people to achieve their dreams? What keeps the fire in their belly burning? Are such people different or extraordinary? Or are they ordinary people who do things differently? In the next hour or so, Dr. Lucky Kasat will take you on a motivational journey to your own personal peak. I would like to thank sincerely Loyola Alumni Association, especially Mr. Rotary Club of Jaipur, for organizing this motivational talk by Dr. Lucky. Enjoy and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Now let me request past District Governor, District 3250, PDG Ronald DeCosta, to kindly give us a brief about the session. Yeah.
Thank you, Father. I think it was a very, very inspiring talk. I have only this much to add. Mountains which are bigger than the Everest. Let's climb that. And thanks to the Rotary Club and to the Loyola Alumni Association, we have started this journey. May I promise you that this is not the end. This is just the beginning of more such talks that we have. So without any ado, let's go ahead with Dr. Lucky. Lucky, thank you for making this possible and coming to us and speaking. We are all privileged, and I know how well you speak. So friends, look forward to a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie sir. I would now request past President and Vice President of LAA, Rajiv Talwar, to kindly give an introduction of Dr. Kasat. Rajiv sir.
Yeah, good morning. It's my proud privilege to introduce our guest speaker today, Dr. Lucky Kasat. Dr. Lucky Kasat is a consultant pediatrician surgeon. He's a motivational speaker, counselor, corporate trainer, author, editor, poet, a trekker, a yoga practitioner, a Vipassana practitioner, and above all, a Rotarian. So now you can imagine what kind of qualities our guest speaker has today. He is he's a consultant pediatrician and a neonatal surgeon for the last 20 years and has been working at the Kaushalya Hospital in Mumbai. His guidelines, what he says is what you think is what you become. And he also says that I work as if everything depends on me. I pray as if everything depends on God. And he also believes that Zindagi lambi hai, Zindagi lambi nahi, badi honi chahiye. He has various awards to his name, like the prestigious Times of India Young Achiever Award in pediatric surgery. He operated on the rarest of the rare fetus in fetu, a surgery on a 2-month-old girl who had one more baby inside her abdomen. Only 9 such cases have reported in India and only about 90 odd in the whole world. He has also operated on the large appendix in children in India. He opened a breast milk bank at the Rajiv Gandhi Medical College in Thane in 2012. He has given a whopping 11,180 free typhoid and rubella vaccines in 29 camps worth about 1 crore of rupees. Other major highlights of his is about 1,000 motivational talks in more than 20 corporate houses. He has addressed as a guest speaker and a trainer in 3 international and 7 national and 12 state conferences. He has a motivational speaker who has spoken to more than 1,200 people 5 times. And today I believe he's already speaking to about 800 of us. He's a Rotarian for the past 20 years and I had the distinction of being the Navratna president, declared the 2nd best club in the whole district out of 122 Rotary clubs in Mumbai. He's the chief editor for 11 years, winning 21 awards as the best bulletin of the whole of India thrice. That's Dr. Lucky Kasat for you. Let's welcome him in our usual way. Dr. Lucky Kasat, I'll request you to kindly address us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Friends, I'm really privileged and honored that such an overwhelming response, which I never really fathomed also. When Ronnie called me up and asked me for this, I thought it must be around 100, at the most 200. But the way his hard work has paid the way that we are seeing a full house and many are waiting and must be on the Facebook also live. So I'm indebted to you, Past District Governor Ronnie. Thank you so much. And my special hug and thanks to Rotarian Vinod for the technological part and doing it properly. Really thankful for that. Friends, let me start with my presentation straight away. I hope everyone is able to see the screen. Just put up no problem with you in seeing the screen. If there is any problem with anyone. And secondly, we know this annotation has started already. So I would request you to stop the annotation. And the host can do this. Otherwise, it will be disturbing quite frequently.
Lucky sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sir, kindly start sharing once again.
Okay.
Once you start sharing, on the right side, there is an option more. On the top. Yeah. If you see, there's
yes.
And in that, there will be an option called disable annotate by participants.
Got it. I think we are through, है ना?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Fine, sir. There should not be any issues.
You can see the screen?
Yes. Perfect, sir.
That should be fine, right?
Yes, yes, it's fine, sir. You
Okay,
can go.
Vinod, just a minute. The Facebook page which you have displayed, na?
That has stopped, sir. We are live once again.
Okay. And I think there are about 690 participants here. So those who want to get admitted.
I'm admitting the balance participants, sir.
Okay. Just a minute. Just give me a second.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
a very
sir.
important
You
person.
can take your time.
There is a president, Dr. Supriya. Just give me a second, huh?
Yeah.
हाँ वो जो आईडी और वो है वापस लॉगिन करो. I've asked them to take you in. अभी आएगा वापस करो. आईडी है वापस फेसबुक पे अभी लाइव आ रहा है. वापस चालू किया अभी.
Yes, sir.
You can see the slide.
Yes, yes, we can see the slide, sir. You can start.
Yeah. Just give me just a minute. Just give me a minute. Chalo, I've learned something. Thank you, boys, for teaching us this thing also, how to disable the annotations. So now we are through, and really grateful to you, boys, for those who had done this mischief. And I just pray that you stop this in future also. But now we are back one step ahead of you, that we can disable you. So that is take it all positively at the end. Again, thank you, PDG Ronnie, and thank you, Vinod, for all this patience, and thank you, Principal Sir, for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much. Friends, this is a topic, what is my peak? And it is a topic on Mount Everest, consisting of two parts. Part 1 will be dealing with everything on Mount Everest. Part 2 will be a metaphor. Try to extend my greetings from Thane. This is Thane district, a huge district of Mumbai. And I'm from a Rotary district known as 3142. This is where we are located in Maharashtra. This Thane city is a city of history. As you know, India's first train in 1853 ran from Mumbai to by railways. The first railway bridge built at that time in the city of Thane. This is this city of ours takes in the city itself, and it's quite beautiful also, no doubt about that. This is also a city with distinction, with a national sanctuary within the city along Mumbai. And then it is a city of malls. These are mega rangolis for which Thane is very famous. This happens to be of the size of 25,000 feet. And there are many firsts to Thane city. This is the biggest shirt created in Thane in the whole world, 50 by 30 feet. Then this is also a biggest kurta, hand painted by a Thaneite in just 30 hours. And it is mentioned in the Limca Book of World Records. Then this is an unusual collection of, as you can see, ancient locks. And these locks now are in the form of a museum, which is the only museum of its kind, having nearly 1,200 locks in that museum. And then this is the largest rainbow slide in India, which has an opening of 16 slides in one of the water parks in Thane. And this is the largest man-made fiber cave in Asia, which is located in our city, as well as the longest tunnel in Asia using fiber technology. And this is particularly unique because this is the only library which is open 24/7, and it is open since last 20 years or so. Never ever it has stopped. Even in Corona times, maybe yes, this is the only exception. Otherwise, it has never stopped. And this is a play in Marathi where it was played executed for 11 times in a row as a homage to the 26/11 terror victims. It has a mention in Limca books, and the play's name is Sanyasta Jwalamukhi, on the life of Swami Vivekananda. So the city has offered very much to the people of India. And finally, we have the second marine sanctuary in India, the Flamingo Sanctuary of its kind, 1,700 acres, a unique thing and a very beautiful thing to see. So in a span of 4 kilometers, we had the city's first train, a cradle for the culture of Marathi, then a national sanctuary, and India's first mall, which is having 1 million square feet area. Also the India's first visually impaired mall. So just a brief introduction about my city, my warm greetings to you. Friends, this whole topic of Mount Everest is divided into 2 parts. One is on actual Mount Everest, and then a metaphor of my life, my peak in my life as compared to this peak in the world. You know, in 1905, there was a young dashing climber, George Mallory. Vinod, just once more, I want to confirm the audio is okay?
Audio is fine, sir.
Okay, fine. And the slides are being seen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So, George Mallory was a very famous climber. And this world famous question, why do you want to climb this peak? He gave a very famous answer for this. Because it is there. Because it is there, I want to go there. As simple as that. I want to climb this peak to feel the majesty of this peak. To feel that grandeur of this peak. To feel that divinity that God manifests with. The godliness, the majesty of it. These are all real pictures, friends. So just relax and enjoy. And let's go on a virtual climb to this mountain. We climb to experience this mountain for the golden feeling. And we always have to start at the base camp. This is at 17,500 feet. Friends, Mount Everest climb starts from 17,500 feet till 29,028 feet, the world's highest peak in the world. It looks so easy, isn't it? That I can simply go up and come back down. But it is not so. For us in our life as a student, for us in our life as a person, what is our base camp? Our base camp is our mind. And we realize that our mind is so small otherwise in front of all the problems which we face in life. The problems in life look like a huge mountain. And in this picture, if you look carefully, you'll realize where you are in your life. This is where you are. This is the base camp of Everest. And this is just the base of Mount Everest. Now you can realize the mightiness of Mount Everest. Similarly is the mightiness of the problems and the whole canvas of life. You are too small in the whole canvas of the things. But still this mind is capable to overcome and climb all these huge, massive problems and the difficulties which we face in our life. As a student, as a person. And for this climbing, we need preparation of our mind. This preparation of the mind is only by one thing, and only by one thing, and that is to overcome fear. Remember, only one thing dominates our life, and that is fear. The person, the student who can overcome his fear has captured his mind. Because mind, in other words, means fear. The whole story of success in life is about overcoming and going beyond this fear. It is an innate trait which we have. There is not a single person who has no fear. And this fear is needed in life simply because if we want to cross this road, while crossing the road, we need that fear. Otherwise, we'll be causing accident to our own self. That fear will help us to stop at the red signal. That fear will help us to go along the footpath or along the zebra crossing. But this fear, when it expands to an unusual proportion of panic, then it really stops you in progress. Whole mind preparation is to overcome fear. Fear that I am not able to study much. Fear that I will not be able to score so much. Fear that I will not be getting that kind of college. Fear that how I will do. My parents want me to become a doctor and I just don't wish to become a doctor. I don't feel that I'm inclined to become a doctor. Various kinds of fears are there, but this mind has to be prepared to overcome this fear. That can be by understanding the deep things and also by communicating whatever you need to communicate with your parents and teachers and everyone. So this base camp of ours is the most basic thing on which you need to concentrate, and that is your mind. Friends, what you think, you become. If you think that it is frightening, you will become a frightened person. If you think that I will overcome this fear, I can overcome this. So a person who can overcome his fear is a courageous person. A courageous person is not a person who does not have fear. Mind you, don't be in a mistake with that. A courageous person always has fear, but he has the capacity to overcome his fear. And that capacity he develops only at the base camp. Because he sees that there's a huge mountain in front of him, and can he overcome this? So this is the whole preparation. If you don't prepare here in your base camp, in your mind, then the whole climb will be extraordinarily difficult. More difficult than you can anticipate, with more problems and than you anticipate. Encounter the first problem, and that is the Khumbu ice wall, which looks very deceptively simple. You will feel that I can easily run across this Khumbu ice wall, but this is the most dangerous area of the mountain, simply because there are about 45 deaths which have happened here. Friends, what is the reason for these deaths? This is because of the glacier movement. A glacier is a frozen river, and if this glacier moves daily about 3 to 6 feet, what happens? Small mini mountains created this. So this, then deep crevasse, and this deep 35 feet, and you need courage to cross this, because this is a bottomless crevasse. One misfall on either side, right or left, you go so deep down that even your voice will not come up. You will have the most peaceful death you can ever have. But this is what it is all about. The courage is to overcome my fear and to give that trial. It is not that I am not having fear. Don't mistaken that. Each and everyone, Edmund Hillary also had that fear. Tenzin Norgay also had that fear. So everywhere there is a big canvas, but beneath this big canvas, always there will be a deep crevasse. And this is also so in our life as a student and in our life in general. You find, oh, I can study so much, I can score so much, I can go to that college so much, but beneath this big canvas is a deep crevasse of difficulties, of not understanding the subject, of not able to give the exam sometimes due to ill health. There are so many deep crevasses which will come across life. So friends, you prepare yourself to climb over the crevasses of your own fear. These are real pictures of Mount Everest. So thoroughly enjoy them. This is one of its kind thing which you will get to know about it. So friends, you prepare to climb over the crevasses of your own fear. You prepare to trust your inner call. Your inner call is saying, I can do it. Just overcome your fear and go ahead. It is difficult. You will need training. You will need skills. But at least you are prepared for your inner call to trust on it. And then you prepare to balance yourself. In life, we think balancing means a passive thing. I'm standing in between, in the middle part, and so I'm balanced. It is not so. This man cannot balance in a passive way. Similarly, in life, we cannot balance in a passive way. You need to tilt on the right. Sometimes you need to tilt on the left. You need to tilt sometimes on the truth. You need to tilt sometimes on the false or the bad things. And this tilting continuously on the right and the left, on the good and the bad, on the bright and the dark, will help us to continuously maintain our balance. Life will offer you these tilts continuously. Sometimes you are tilting towards the truth. Sometimes you are tilting towards the false. Sometimes you are tilting towards the right things. Sometimes you are tilting towards the bad things. And in between, somewhere you will find your balance. So be prepared for this tilting. Be prepared that sometimes you will score well. Sometimes you will not score well. Sometimes you will be totally prepared for the exams, and just 2 days before your exams, you are suffering from typhoid and the whole tilt goes away, or you are tilting on the left side now. This is a balance between these two. Never ever assume that in life, in the middle path is a static path. Never ever assume that it is a passive path. It is a very active balance you have to do, just like this climber. He just cannot go and walk across through like this. He has to actually balance it out actively. So you prepare to define your courage to do whatever I need to do, come what may. Friends, you prepare to be okay that I am scared. Nothing is wrong with being scared. Don't feel guilty that you are scared. Just remind yourself that everyone is scared. There is not a single person on earth who is not scared. So don't be in this myth. Here, I am not. He's not scared. He seems to be not in a scary mode. No, it is not so. The only thing is, suppose you find someone who is not scared, it may happen that he was scared definitely, but he had the courage to overcome his fear, overcome his scariness, and to progress in life. These are the crevices which we will be crossing across in life. Standard by standard, standard by standard, exam by exam, reach wherever you wish to reach and go ahead. Friends, your preparation needs a team. You prepare also to work as a team. Always remember, it is never ever that alone you have scored the top. It has never happened that alone as a student, I am coming first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. It has never happened single-handedly. It is always interdependence. Remember this in life forever. Nothing can be achieved independently. Everything is interdependent. For example, simple example, like we wanted to start this talk, but the annotation problem came, right? It was so obvious that we were dependent on that knowledge of this annotation, or dependent on those boys who were creating this. The very fact I need this laptop to convey to you all the slides, the very fact you need your PCs and mobiles to convey to yourself whatever is being told to you, you are dependent on it. This laptop and this whole presentation is dependent on the electricity, on the Wi-Fi. Then this electricity is dependent on the water from where the electricity is being produced. And this water is dependent on the clouds are dependent on the sea is dependent on the earth, and it goes on and on. Everything is interlinked. Everything is interdependent. So also in life, you alone and only alone cannot progress even one step. You are dependent because you have to eat and you are dependent on your food. You have to breathe, you are dependent on your breath. You have to learn, you are dependent on the books, and so on and so forth. So remember, it is always a team. It is always interdependency. Never go in that ego trip. It is me who have done this. I have done this. It is only because of my brainy stuff that I have achieved my first rank. No, 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 no. You are mistaken here completely. So the whole journey of life, not only as a student, but also as a person in general, it is interdependent. It is a teamwork. And acknowledge and be in gratitude for that team. Acknowledge for that food you are eating. Acknowledge for that water you are drinking. Acknowledge for the books you are reading. Acknowledge for the school you are into. And therefore, you will understand that everything is interdependent. This mountain teaches you this, that you must also prepare to overcome this illusion of fear. Friends, you prepare to accept your smallness in the whole scheme called life. You are too small in front of the whole scheme of life. The canvas of life is huge, vast, and expansive, and you are just one katputli in that. You're a minor thing. But yes, with the whole empowerment of to do things extraordinarily, there's no question about it. So as you climb up in your life, standard by standard, you will reach Camp 1, 19,500 feet. In your life, many of us will stay there. In life, after you pass out, you become graduate and postgraduate, you will start with a career. Somewhere we will reach Camp 1. And many of us will stay at Camp 1 happy with that thing. Simply because they feel, okay, this much earning is good. This much, whatever I have achieved is good. And let's stay here. Don't try to go further up. Which is totally fine. Nothing wrong with this. Because it is a decision taken with conscience. And then few of us will still go on ascending. Camp 2, 21,000 feet. And this camp is known as the Valley of Silence. In life, you realize that your work makes you silent and your work must be silent. It's a very powerful statement to understand that your work, your studies must make you silent. and it will make you silent only if you understand your subject. So if you're going to score and you're studying to score, it will make you turbulent, not silent. But if you are working or studying to understand that subject, and once understood, it will make you silent. So also is in life. If I'm doing my work to achieve and to find glory, and so that my my photo should come in the newspaper, I will be turbulent. Cannot be serene and silent. But if I am doing my work just for the sake of doing, to enjoy that work, to completely do it because of my capacity that I can do this much, it will make you silent and happy. And similarly, your work must be silent. It is a corollary to this. If I'm studying well, and if I'm achieving my first rank, second rank, fifth rank, it should make me silent. It should make me sober. It should make me non-egoistic, humble. That is a great achievement. And it is what this climb of life teaches us. Slowly, slowly we go up and we reach Camp 4. In Camp 4, it is known, after Camp 4, it is known as the mountain's consent or the dead zone. You need the consent of the mountain because it is the dead zone. Oxygen here is 1/3 of what you are breathing in base camp. Just for your information, the base camp at 17,000 feet has only 50% of oxygen what you are breathing. And at this dead zone, Camp 4 and above, this is 26,000 feet. The oxygen is just 33% of what we are breathing right now in the drawing hall. Only 33% of it. And whenever you go up, as I told you, it is a team. You need to be a minimum group of 6 people to climb Mount Everest. The permission is given to minimum 6 people. And the death rate here is 1 death for every 6 climbers. So naturally, you will be frightened about the whole thing. Obviously, yes. But as you go and ascend up in your life, as you struggle and climb up in your life, you will find that not all the 6 reach till the death zone also. And life will offer you this death zone. The higher you go, the higher chances are there to encounter the death zone of life. The death zone is difficulties which need real skills to tackle. Otherwise, it is a death zone. If you don't have those kind of skills which are needed at that top level, if you don't develop communication skills, if you don't develop the language skills, if you don't develop these other skills which are needed, maybe of PC or computer technology, whatever it is, according to your career, then you will be meeting your death zone. But if you want to cross across the death zone and to reach to the top, then only skills at this particular level of life is needed and which will be helpful. Not all 6 will climb up. All 6 will reach till Camp 4, but 1 at least will go down. This is a rule. It has never happened like this otherwise on Mount Everest. So also it is with life. So in the death zone area, you realize that death of your ego is the only true living. Unless you kill your ego, unless you become humble, unless you practice that humility, with the deep understanding, this is the death zone. I have reached to a certain extent of in my life. I have achieved so much, but still I need to cross over and this death zone and achieve more. This will require special skills, special talent, special patience, special perseverance, and also the death of my ego. Egoistic persons have never reached to the top of Mount Everest. Never. It has never happened in life. It will never happen in future also. So the deadline is 1 p.m. What does it mean? I'll let you understand. You are here in Camp 4. This is the cursor where I am showing you. This is the summit ridge you will cross to reach the balcony to rest for some time. And then the Hillary step, which is very vertical, to reach the summit. And you have to come back down to Camp 4 before 1 p.m. So if I wish that I want to go through the death zone like this to come to the summit ridge, then the balcony area and the Hillary step, nearly 40 feet vertical height, to reach the top of this, I need to take a decision in my Camp 4 whether I want to go ahead of my studies with this kind of career, with hostel life, with this kind of achievements or not. This decision is taken in Camp 4. And if you want to decide, the climbers here, they decide before 12 midnight whether they will go up or not. Once they decide, friends, the oxygen is just 33%. It is not an easy task at the top. It is not an easy task for any student who is in the top 5, top 10. It is not an easy task for any person who is in the top line of his career. No, it is difficult. And the oxygen is thin there. And then the mind goes numb. You'll be shocked to know in Camp 4 and above, if you want to put your foot into the boot, it takes 20 minutes to put the foot into the boot because the oxygen is so low, 33%, that even the mind becomes numb. And then to take a call, the decision that I want to go to the top of the mountain and through the death zone is the call of courage. Is a call to overcome my fear. And this overcoming my fear, that kind of courage I have developed not here in Camp 4. It is developed in the base camp where you are in right now as a student. Remember this. You have to work hard to overcome your fear. That is your homework. More important homework than studies is to overcome your fear. So once I decide, the climber will come out with his searchlight on, as you can see, and these climbers one by one in trail, they start climbing up about 1 o'clock at night, and they will reach here and to the top by 9 a.m. and they have to reach to their tents back before 1 p.m. simply because after 1 p.m. storm is a rule in this area and that is 100% certain. So this is how it is. The problem here is the summit ridge, or also known as the Cornice Traverse. It is very steep and very narrow. One misstep on either side of this cornice, of this summit ridge, you will have a free fall of 10,000 feet before you will hit something. Can you believe this? A free fall of 8 to 10,000 feet before you will hit something. And that is what it is all about at the top. It is difficult, it is narrow, it is steep, but only with courage you can do it. And that courage is overcoming. It does not mean that I am not having fear. It is overcoming this fear. So this accepts the two countries, Nepal and Tibet, because it is crossing or transcending the two boundaries, the boundaries of Nepal and Tibet. You go on with your courage, enjoy these pictures, and understand what kind of preparation of mind is going on here. What kind of preparation of the mind has happened to go to the top. And this success in life is with skills. Everything is skills here. All the skills are in play. And one sheer mistake, you have a free fall of 10,000 feet. Friends, you reach your balcony, you pause for some time, you learn here that I have reached still a higher up, but I can turn around. That is my choice. And that is the wisdom. Sometimes you turn around and go back, which is totally not wrong at all, because whatever you have achieved till now is super. So don't bother about. That is what is the wisdom about. But if I'm not wisdom and my mind is saying turn around, if I'm go, I will say no, I will go up and die. And that is what happens to so many of people who just don't listen. So the last 40 feet is known as the Hillary step. It is vertical at 28,750. It is the most technically demanding climb. As I told you, skills are needed at the top. To reach to the top, maybe a few talents here and there, but the determination and the courage is needed. But at the top, the peak of your career, of your studies, of everything, what is needed is skills, which will take you through. So this is the Hillary step, 40 feet vertical spur, very technically demanding. And you learn that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. The planning has to be at the base camp. The planning has to be that I will overcome my fear. Friends, this is a real picture at 4 a.m., 3:30 a.m. precisely. You can see the climbers with the searchlights on the summit ridge, steep and narrow, going towards this balcony. So when you reach your peak of your life, we are now reached to the top of Mount Everest, and these are real pictures of Mount Everest. Enjoy this. Maybe a few of you might be seeing it in reality, but most of us will not. So at least let us enjoy these pictures. This is how the world looks from the top of the world. The view is excellent. This is on the Tibetan side. You learn that you cannot stay on the top forever. This is a very, very important message the mountain gives us. It says very clearly, boss, yes, you have achieved everything in life. You have become so much top grade. You have achieved but you cannot stay on the top forever. So be in this realization always, then the ego will not be hurt. But if you don't realize this, while coming down, you will be hurt like anything. It will be more hurt than the achievement you have achieved in your life. And this mountain teaches you this. That true humbleness is the most important lesson you learn towards the top. If you are going towards the top, no mountaineer ever says after completing the summit that I have conquered Everest. No, no one says this. They realize the humbleness of it. It is the mountain which has tolerated me. It is not that I have conquered Everest. If you are coming in the top 5 in your school, you are very good with your studies. It is not that I have studied so much and therefore I have come to the top. No, it is just that their life has offered you this chance and it has accepted you with this top grade genius. It is always interdependent. Don't forget that. So friends, you realize that even if you are disabled in whatever capacity, mentally, physically, to do alone, you can gather courage and resources to overcome the difficulty. Friends, she is the national volleyball champion of India on a train, and 3 heroes, and she fought with them. She was thrown out of the train. One more train was running by, and then she collided with the running train and fell down. Her one leg got crushed. She lay down on the tracks for 1.5 days. 49 trains passed by. She cried for help, cried for help. Not a single train could stop because no one heard her. The 50th train driver understood there is some human being there. He stopped the train. He picked her up, and then she was flown to Delhi. In the Delhi hospital, Arunima Sinha was admitted for 6 months, and her one leg was amputated, cut just at the thigh level because it was so much debilitated. And in the hospital bed, in the 6 months of admission, Arunima Sinha, in the 5th month of admission, takes a decision that once I will be discharged from the hospital, within 2 years of my discharge, I will go to the top of mountain and conquer Everest, conquer myself. I will overcome my fear. And she's the first woman in Indian to go to the top of Mount Everest with only one leg. With only one leg. Friends, she says that if I can do, why you cannot? So don't bother if you have prepared well for your exams and you find that now there is typhoid just 1 week before and you cannot give the exam. Just don't bother. Life is too big for all these small things. At that time you may feel it is a big thing, but in the whole canvas of life it doesn't matter. Just like how even one leg did not matter to Arunima Sinha. In the whole canvas of the things, she is now a major heroine than she was as a national champion of volleyball, isn't it? So look at this. He's a man with no legs. Mark English from New Zealand has no legs. He has conquered not only Mount Everest, he has conquered all the 7 summits. The 7 summits are the 7 topmost mountains of each continent, including Antarctica. A man with no legs can do this. Friends, he is Sudarshan Gautam from Nepal. He is the first person without arms and without prosthesis to reach to the top of Mount Everest. He says, we are not disabled by the disability we have. We are able by the abilities we have. He was walking down on the Kathmandu streets and he happened to be at the bus stop. He had no arms, mind you. And he saw in the hustle bustle of the bus stop that one man was trying to act as a coolie. And the person, the traveler, was trying to put the baggage on his head. And suddenly he saw that this coolie did not have any hands. It shocked him to the core. The coolie was not having any hands or arms, and yet he was doing the job of coolie with dignity, overcoming his fear and acting courageously. That ashamed Sudarshan Gautam like anything. And then and there he took the decision, from today I will not be ashamed of my life. From today I will not be guilty of anything. From today I will overcome my fear. I don't have arms, still I will do it. And to overcome my fear, to show that I am able by the ability I have, I will climb the Mount Everest, and he did so. Friends, he is Gary Winkler from Austria. He is the first insulin diabetic to reach the Mount Everest and taking injection of diabetes, insulin, on the top of Mount Everest in 33% oxygen level at 29,000 feet. Proving to himself, telling the world, don't fear. So what is your peak? Friends, what defines your peak? It is only one thing that defines your peak, and that is your choice. Only if you choose, you can define your peak. The choice is
Guys, we have lost the audio connection of Dr. Lucky, so kindly bear with us for a few seconds. We'll be back. We are connecting with him. Just a matter of few minutes and he'll be back.
Vinod, can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll share the screen. Something happened and it got disconnected.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Is the screen visible?
Yes, just ensure that the settings of annotation is also right.
Yeah, I'll just do that. I think it is already.
Yeah, fine. You can continue, sir.
Yeah. Sorry for this. So it is your choice that defines everything, friends. And remember this, that choice is by your perception of the things. So here's one example of this. Sean Schorner. He had just 5 problems. At the age of 20 years, Sean Schorner had never had any experience of mountaineering. He was born in Colorado, and there were no big mountains there. But he suffered from cancer. A 20-year-old youth suffering from cancer. He was shocked. He was treated with chemotherapy, radiotherapy. And in the hospital bed, once he was in convalescent stage, he decided that he will go to climb the Mount Everest. Do you ever realize that if we suffer from cancer, will the thought come to me that I want to climb Mount Everest? No, but that thought came to him. And then for 2 years, whole lung was removed. He had just problems, no experience of monks, just one lung, no funds, and hope. Yet twice. Extremely sorry. It is just. Vinod, you can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
So not the selected few can reach the life peak, friends. It is always the determined few who reach the life peak. Understand this. It is their determination. It is the decision inside that I will overcome my fear and do this. So she is Alison Levine. She has done something known as Adventure Grand Slam. What is Adventure Grand Slam? You conquer the 7 summits, all the 7 topmost mountains of each continent. In addition, you go to North Pole. In addition, you go to South Pole and ski down the North Pole and South Pole. She had only 2 problems. There were 2 open heart surgeries done on Alison. And whenever she used to go to the fridge and open the refrigerator and put her hands inside, the fingers used to turn blue and painful. Just think, you are going to your fridge, opening the door, putting your hand inside, fingers are turning blue and painful. Will the thought come to me that I will go to the top of Mount Everest in minus 42 degrees? The top of Mount Everest or the death zone is minus 42 degrees. Will that thought come to you? No, but that thought came to her. And she designed a very special gloves for herself. She designed a special gloves, practiced with it, and then finally, she is the first woman on earth not only to do 7 summits, including Mount Everest, but also to go to North Pole and ski down, and also to go to the South Pole and ski down, in spite of having 2 heart surgeries and this problem of fingers which are turning blue and painful in simple cold. Friends, life shrinks or expands in proportion to your courage. It's a very powerful statement. Only your courage defines how much expanse your life will have and greatness your life will have. Look at him. You have to understand how blind we are to the real problems. You have to choose to correct your own vision, like this person. Eric was blind, and can you believe it? He has completed the 7 summits. A blind person. Possible? Possible. Simply because he says something fantastic. He says, I see myself as a mountaineer. I happen to be blind. This is the super correct statement. It is the most powerful statement you will ever hear. I see myself as this. The dream of yours. I see myself as this. I happen to have poverty. I happen to have disability. I happen to have problems in my family. I happen to have problems with my health, whatever it is. That kind of attitude, that I see myself as a mountaineer, I happen to be blind. Friends, he used to tie the rope with bells with his fellow climbers. And you remember the base camp? From the base camp, he's hearing the bells and he's going across the Khumbu ice wall to reach Camp 1. All the crevasses is crossing with that hearing of the bells. And then Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, Camp 4, death zone, the balcony, the Hillary step of 40 feet and reaching to the top and coming back down. Like this 7 summits of the 7 topmost mountains on earth. And that is what he's doing. So it is possible. So it is not about the altitude, it is all about the attitude. And that attitude comes only with your perception of the things in the right way. What you think, you become. So what is my Everest? Last 5 to 6 minutes. He's Miura. He's the oldest person to climb Everest at the age of 70 years. Can you believe this? Think of your father and grandfather. And think they are on top of Mount Everest. 70 years old can reach to the top of Mount Everest. And you'll be shocked to know that this record was broken. This record was broken by Miura himself at the age of 75. And not only this, this record was also broken at the age of 81 years. Miura broke his own record by climbing Everest for the 3rd time at the age of 81 years. And there are 5 such people more than 70 years who have reached to the top of Mount Everest. What does it mean? It simply means they don't give up. It simply means they have that choice. They have taken that choice. What it depends upon? That choice of yours. Yeah, I will do it. And then the hard work, then all the preparation of the mind for it. He's Italian Reinhold Messner. He's the first to summit Everest alone without oxygen. Just think of his fitness level. Minus 42 degrees, 33% oxygen level पे ये बंदा बिना oxygen जाता है. He's the first to climb all the 14 peaks, which are the 14 top peaks of Himalayas, more than 8,000 meters in height. And then is Kami Rita, the Super Sharva. He has climbed Everest 24 times, the world record. And next year, this year, he would have completed the Silver Jubilee. But because of Corona, it has not been allowed. So next year, he will be doing it. The only person on earth, the Sharva from Nepal, who has climbed Everest 24 times. And then she's a 9th standard girl, the youngest girl on earth from India, from a simple village known as Telangana Pakla village. Malwant Purna is the youngest person to climb on Mount Everest. And at the base camp, camp 4, just before the death zone, she was suffering from fever, 104 degrees fever, mind you. And she takes that injection and says, I will go. If I want to die, I will die on the mountain, not in my village, in the tribal village. With not a single shoe. She never had a shoe in her life. एक जूता नहीं था उसके पास. She did it with sheer determination, overcoming the fear. Malwant Purna. This is a movie known as Purna. I would request all the students to download it. It is on her life story. It was released 3 years ago. It's a beautiful movie. It is a very encouraging and a motivational movie. And then there is Prem Dorji and Mole Mulipati. They are the first couple to run away from home. And when they ran away to the top of mountain to get married. By the way, they are the road tractors also. They are the road tractors of the Road Track Club of Kathmandu North Side. And they are the first ever road tractors to reach to the top of Mount Everest. They implanted the flag of Rotary International and the road track on the top of Mount Everest in 2005, when Rotary completed 100 years of existence. So this is the only couple to marry on the highest plane. The family ran after them, but they realized they are going quite a mountain. Forget it. And that is how they did it. So there are courageous stories. So there are nearly 5,780 people from more than 100 countries who have reached to the top of the summit. And there are 488 Indians till now who have done so. So friends, over every mountain, there is a path. And this path is never though seen from the valley. It's a very important statement to understand. See, once you are standing in the valley, you will realize that the mountain of problems are huge as a student, as a person. And in that valley, the mountain looks very huge. And you do not see any path, how to overcome this obstacle, how to overcome this difficulty, this mountain of problem. But the only solution is, remember this rule. On every mountain, there is a path. On every difficulty, there is a path. On every obstacle, there is a path. Though in the valley, it will never be seen. So what we need to do is take a few steps. Start climbing that obstacle. Start overcoming that difficulty step by step. And after you take a few steps, you will find a path. Maybe a small path, but it will lead to across the mountain also. This mountain gives you a beautiful metaphor to understand this. It is a rule of life that there is not a single obstacle which has no solution. The toughest the problem is, the simplest the solution is. So friends, there are 2 rules to remember. Just never quit. Rule number 1. Never ever quit. Come what may, kuch bhi ho jaye. Take a pause. If you cannot give your exam because of typhoid and you're missing the whole exam, don't quit. Stop there. Take a pause for 1 month, 2 months. Then whatever step you will take it in that direction towards the mountain, not towards the valley. And what is rule number 2? Remember rule number 1, that I will never quit. So it is not the mountain peak we conquer, it is our own selves we conquer. It's a very powerful statement. It is not the mountain peak we conquer, it is our own self we conquer. Where does the climbing start? At the base camp? Technically, yes, but it starts in the hospital bed. Or it starts in the hospital courtyard for Sean Schorner, who suffered from 2 cancers. It started in the kitchen in front of the fridge for Ellison Levine with 2 heart surgeries and fingers turning blue. So the conquering of the peak is actually not the conquering of the peak, it is conquering our own self. This is what they prove. So these are the 7 summits which I would really like you to understand and follow. The 7 summits of my life as a student and my life as a person. First thing is, always never compromise on your health and fitness. Because if health is there, then only the wealth is there. If there is a headache, you had it, your whole day goes away. So the first compromise, more important than studies, is your health. More important than your achievements in your studentship is your fitness and health. Don't compromise that. For this, you need to eat well, sleep well, and be away from your mobile, especially after 8:30 p.m. at any cost, come what may. Ideally, you should not have mobiles till 11th standard. Ideally. Medically, we don't recommend you to have mobiles till 11th standard. That affects the mental health and the physical health directly. And eating well is so crucial. Eating regularly again is so crucial. So this is the first summit you need to conquer. And then second summit is being a friend rather than having a friend. All of us want many friends and we feel great about it. I have 10, 20 friends. I have 30 friends. But have you realized, are you really a friend to someone? That is a bigger achievement. Try to be a friend in life rather than having more friends. Then be a traveler, not a tourist. What does it mean? We go, if I want to go to Kashmir, I know I will go to Srinagar, I will go to the boat house, I will go to Gulmarg, I will go to Pahalmar. Like that we fix up like a tourist. But a traveler goes in abandon. He will go to Kashmir, he will go to Srinagar, he will stay in the store, but he will explore. The best of the travelers become the best of the human beings. Nothing can teach you what travel can teach you. Books fall short in front of travel. So don't miss it in life. Then become a leader in any situation. Wherever there is a situation where it makes you feel, I should do it, it means you must do it. If there is a corona problem and you feel there is a person hungry outside and you have a feeling, they must be given food, it becomes my duty that I must give food. I must do the needful and arrange food for him. That is being a leader of any situation. It becomes your duty. And then become a true giver. Share the things. Don't be selfish. The good person only can share. Directly proportional to your goodness. चाहे वो आपके notes हो, notes of your exams, notes of your subject, to whatever you have, you must share. Every day see that you share or give something at least once, whatever it is. Don't be away from it. And then try avoiding becoming a hypocrite or falseness. Every time we try to be in a false pretension. Don't do that. That is being hypocrite. We'll speak some false things, negative things, and then we repeat it so many times that we start feeling it is the normal thing to do. We forget only in the first place that it was false. This is going on with majority of the people, majority of the students also. Being a hypocrite is the biggest problem. Hello? Bus, I'm finishing in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, please. Yeah. And then being tolerant. So being tolerant again is the biggest menu. So friends, they never rest who want to reach the Everest. Remember this. It is only on your perception. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. I would really thank again past District Governor Ronnie to give me this opportunity, and Vinod, the convener, for doing it so well. In spite of all the odds, I would really like to thank all the students also that they stayed back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Lucky. I think we have a limitation to the meeting duration also. So do we want to take the question answer session or directly go to the vote of thanks?
Maybe 1 or 2 responses or just like that.
Yeah.
From the principal or maybe one of the students also. And if there is any question, we can answer. If there is a problem of time, no problem.
Yeah, we will just try with 1 or 2 questions. We have Aishwarya Singh from Loyola School who wants to ask a question. Loyola School.
Yeah,
Aishwarya, you're online. You can ask your question.
Can't hear you.
Aishwarya, can't hear you. No. Unmuted. She's
Hello. Unmute yourself, Aishwarya.
Aishwarya, can you try? No, sorry. Aishwarya, we will move on to the next.
You be prepared. We'll come back to it. Don't worry. No. Can't hear you, Aishwarya.
Fine, we'll move on to Anushka. Anushka, you are online. Can you hear us? You've been unmuted.
Unmute yourself. Anushka, unmute yourself.
Anushka,
Speak.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Sir mentioned that despite all odds, we are supposed to be courageous and keep calm. But we see that most of the times there are other people trying to bring us down out of jealousy or competitiveness, over competitiveness. So in such times, how are we supposed to keep calm and stay determined?
Okay. The best answer to this will be a story by Gautama Buddha. Once a very learned scholar, he came to him and he was very jealous of Gautama Buddha because he was having so much of followers. And he came to his ashram and he started abusing Gautama Buddha, left, right and center. What happened? Gautama Buddha was just silent. He went on listening. And once he uttered out all the abuses for 20 minutes, then he stopped because there was nothing to abuse. And he said, I'm shocked that you are not reacting so much of abuse I am giving to you. So Gautama Buddha started speaking. He said, what abuse? Now this scholar was very shocked. I abused to you for 20. The choicest of the words. So Gautama, I don't know. I heard that there were some bad words being told, but I never took it on myself. So if I'm not taken it on myself, it is belonging to you only. It is just like a gift. If I give a gift to Anushka and Anushka doesn't take the gift, whose gift it will be? Finally, it will be mine only because you have not accepted it. So it depends on us. If we don't accept the abuse and all the negatives, just like Gautama Buddha, it belongs to that person only and it cannot disturb you.
We'll take one more question, sir. We have Sneha Mitra from DAV. Sneha?
Good morning, sir. And thank you, sir, for such a motivational talk. It really motivated me, especially. So you talked about discovering our peak in lives, and you said that it is based upon our choice. So, sir, can you share your experience with us? That how did you discover your peak, and when did you do so that it would be helpful for us?
Yeah. See, there is not a single peak for most of us in life. There are so many peaks we want to conquer. So when 20 years ago, I started it very late. Initially, as a student, I never had this peak I just had one dream that I should be a doctor, that's all. Then once I started with my MBBS, I had a dream of becoming a surgeon and things went on like that. But I realized that you need to write down whatever you love to do in life. Write down. I love to cook. I love to travel. I will love to trek. I will love to do the sky jumping. I love to do the scuba diving. I will love to go to this jungle, Amazon jungle once in a, I will like to go to Antarctica, whatever it is. I like to cook. I like to at least do anything. Just write it down. That bucket list of yours becomes your achievements, which you want to achieve. It is the easiest way, but the ego doesn't allow us to write. What I did finally 20 years, 25 years ago, I started writing. And once I had the list with me, I started taking off one by one. And that helped me to achieve whatever peak I wanted to achieve in my life. These are small peaks, and some are big peaks. We misunderstand that to earn money, to have a position, and to become learned of that kind is the only peak in life. No, that may be a very significant peak in life, no doubt. But there are so many other peaks which gives us happiness. We must do. So write it down. Write down, and it goes on every year. Every month, first of every month, make it a point. You have a diary. What you want to do? Small things will come, and go on achieving that. Your whole lifestyle will change, and that is how I could manage myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I think that's the end of the question answer session because of the limitation that we have. That was a pretty inspiring and motivating session, and I'm sure all of you who have participated today has some takeaway from the session. Now, request Sharat Chandran sir to kindly give an official vote of thanks for the session.
Thank you, Vinod. Wow, undoubtedly one of the most enriching sessions in the times of COVID-19. And even before the session started, Dr. Lucky virtually proved that every time you set out to do good, you shall have many who shall do everything possible to stop you, to scare you, to discourage you, to mock you, to beat you down. But then what matters is how you get around it and keep going till you scale your peak and hoist the flag. Today's session also proves how easy and convenient and how fortunate we are to sit in the comfort of our homes and witness words of wisdom spelled out by people who have fought the odds and lived it. So on behalf of Loyola Alumni and the Rotary Club of Jamshedpur, I extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Lucky for this extremely enriching session and hitting the nail on the topic that goes so well with each one of us, be it the student community waiting to carve their path, or the ones who have settled to their mundane order of the day, ignoring their core calling. They who have paid attention, absorbing every word and crumb, I'm sure shall get moving to their base camps, find their mojo, their purpose, and set forth to conquer their peak, thus conquering themselves. Thank you, Dr. Lucky, for the unconditional support and being with us today. We look forward to many more such sessions.
Thank you so much.
To our District Governor, Rotiran Gopal Khemka of Rotary District 3250, and all the district officials, thank you for coming online and being a part of What's Your Peak. I thank Father Pius, Principal of Loyola School, the Loyola Alumni, and the Rotary Club of Jamshedpur for coming together to make this webinar happen. A special mention of the man behind PDG Ronnie DeCosta, along with Rajiv Talwar, Savak Patel, for initiating and hosting such youth leadership programs with panache. Gratitude to President Sangeeta Jha and Secretary Satnam of Rotary Club of Jamshedpur for their unflinching support. Kudos to Rotarian Vinod for bearing the burden of ensuring that the program goes on without any glitches. Thank you, Vinod. Rotarian Avinash, Rotarian Rajni, Rotarian Suneet, Rotarian Vivek, Rotarian Pragya Singh for backstage coordination. Last but not the least, a big hand to all the students, teachers, parents, Rotarians, and friends whose presence and number just added to the grandeur of the program. So once again, till next time, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
So I think that's the end of the agenda for today. Once again, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Loyola Alumni, KPS Group of Schools, and all the students who took out time to participate in today's session. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Vinod.
Doctor, once again.
Thank you. You are a great help here today. Super. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
So we end the meeting.
Ronnie, of course, the main backbone behind this.
So thank you until you hear from us once again. Thank you. Goodbye to all.
Goodbye.